future of Leadbeater's forest is currently the subject of a local inquiry. As part of this inquiry, a newspaper advertisement asked people to send in ideas of how they would like to see the forest used. Many people had something to say. Their ideas have been found to cover 20 main issues. These issues have now been published and community response has been requested. You are asked to imagine that you are a member of the local community and to give your opinion on each. Write your answers on the sheets provided. Some time is given at the end of each segment in which you can write down your decision. If you cannot make up your mind in this time, don't worry. You can come back to it at the end of the program, and there are no wrong answers. At the end of the program, you will have decided how you would plan for the best use of the land. A good dog or ferret can be used to flush lots of rabbits out of bushy or treed areas. Rabbits have been known to destroy vegetation by overgrazing. Although rabbits are not found in all local areas, some people are concerned that they might multiply here and they want to encourage hunting. Would you allow hunting here? Trees such as this return a lot of money when logged for timber. This part of the forest has been used by your school for many years in its outdoor education program. Would you cut the trees down? Forests are an important component in a lot of social and recreation activities. For many country towns, timber and tourism are important parts of their economy. This mountain ash is in the path of a proposed new tourist road. If cut down, it wouldn't be wasted. Its value as timber would ensure it's being used by the local timber industry. Should we cut it down? These old trees are not suitable for timber. They're almost hollow and full of holes. Many native birds and animals use the hollows as homes. Some people say they should be cut down before they fall on the people who use a nearby track. What would you do? The local horse riding school uses this area often. It provides different types of terrain for students at all levels. Too much riding will destroy the small plants and expose the roots of the trees to damage. Would you allow horse riding here? These trees have been killed by a recent wildfire and they'll soon decay. Some people say they should be cut down immediately, their valuable timber salvaged and the area regenerated. Others say that the area should be allowed to regenerate by itself, especially since dead trees provide homes for animals, including the rare Leadbeater's possum. What would you like to see happen? Why? Water in this area ensures an abundant supply of native fruits. Because of this, birds are plentiful and many use the area for breeding. However, the water also provides excellent breeding conditions for mosquitoes. Some people are worried that mosquitoes might transmit diseases to humans, as they have done elsewhere. Others are concerned that pesticides used to control mosquitoes could have an effect on breeding birds and other wildlife. Would you spray? This track leads to a popular picnic and camping spot. Some people say it should be widened to make it easier for people to get in and out, especially those who depend upon cars for getting around. What would you do about the road? This tree has been selected for timber when it matures because it's straight and tall. To give it more light and space in which to grow, some of the less suitable trees around are going to be cut down. They will then be taken away for pulpwood. The area is visible from a nearby hillside picnic reserve, and some say the final result will affect the use of the area by tourists. Should this happen? Twigs, leaves and bark form a thick litter in this part of the forest. Some believe that a controlled fuel reduction burn every few years is the best way to protect the forest and nearby properties from fierce wildfires. Others agree, but are worried about the effect of the burns on the plant and animal life of the forest. What would you say? The future of the local sawmill is seen by some to depend upon increasing the planting of radiata pines. In places, trees would be planted on cleared ground, no longer used for farming. These pines grow quickly in Australian conditions and have a considerable economic value when mature after about 30 years. On the other hand, many native animals cannot live in pine forests. What would you do? Human activity has changed this forest over the past 100 years. The remaining large trees are now over-mature and useless for sawn timber. To return it to a healthy, vigorous forest of valuable timber, foresters say that these trees should be cut down, used for wood chips, and the area regenerated. Others say that the area should be left just as it is. What would you like to see happen? In Leadbeater's forest, there are many reminders of early European settlement, such as this historic tree stump. Some say reminders like these could help in building a local tourist industry and provide a number of new jobs. Others are worried that encouraging more tourists to visit the area could lead to a loss of the country-town lifestyle. What would you like to see happen? Trail bike riding is popular in this part of the forest. Some say it should be stopped because of damage it causes. Others believe it provides a challenging recreation for people of all ages. Would you allow trail bike riding here? These mountain ash trees are slowly being killed by insects. Hunters say the trees should not be sprayed with pesticides because creeks nearby run into a swamp on which large numbers of wild ducks live. What would you do? Why? Naturalists come to this area to photograph native birds and to observe the rare Leadbeater's possum. Some recreation activities disturb the animal and could prevent it from reproducing. These activities include hunting, trail bike riding, bushwalking, camping, and nature watching. Which activities would you allow here? Feral, or wild, cats are a problem in this part of the forest. They're killing many small birds and animals. Poison baits could be used to get rid of the cats, but they might also harm the native animals. What would you do? Local farmers are worried about the growing population of kangaroos, which spend the day in the forest and come out at night to feed on their grazing land. They say that hunting should be allowed to control the kangaroo population and provide meat and fur products. Would you allow hunting in here?
This lake could be used for many purposes. Some of the many possibilities would be sailing, fishing, hunting, and picnicking.
Or you might prefer the lake to be used as a water source for fire protection, since this is a timber-producing area. How would you like it to be used? This part of the forest has been used for grazing cattle over many years. The forest is heavily infested with weeds, and some say the native grasses and wildflowers can only regenerate if grazing is stopped and the forest sprayed with weed killer. On the other hand, graziers claim that their cattle keep the weeds under control, and that without use of the forest, their costs will increase significantly. What do you think should happen?
There are 4 major groups of people in the community who would like to make use of the forest. The interests of these groups often clash, and difficult decisions must be made which best serve the rights of all those involved. The following statements indicate the views held by these interest groups.
When you're planning what should happen to Leadbeater's forest, remember that hunters have been using it for over 100 years. I think that the members of our hunting club show as much concern for the forest and its wildlife as anyone else. And these are the points that I think you should remember when you're discussing the forest's future. We believe hunters help to conserve and protect animals by controlling wildlife populations. This means that those animals not killed in hunting have got more chance of survival because there's more food and more space to go around. Some species are endangered. We know that. And our members understand that these are not to be hunted. Most animals become rare or endangered because their habitats are destroyed by changes to the forest, such as clearing for farming, building, or logging. Some introduced animals, such as the deer and rabbit, damage the environment by grazing and leaving large areas bare. Hunting controls these animals. Without the hunters, these animals would cause even greater damage to the bush.
Leadbeater's forest is an ideal place for recreation. It has rough, wild places that suit the keen bushwalker, as well as handy picnic spots for family outings. We think that the area could be developed for tourist recreation. This would provide extra income for the community as well as protect the forest. As you discuss the future of the forest, I think you should keep the following points in mind. Recreation can help people learn about the forest. When people understand the forest, they are more likely to look after it. Too much forest has already gone because of farming, logging and urban development. Unemployed timber workers could be trained to work for the tourist recreation industry. New roads and tracks could be put in for people to reach some of the most exciting places. There are already plenty of areas set aside for logging and wildlife.
Parts of this forest have been logged for nearly 200 years. Once there were 3 sawmills in the area, providing jobs for more than 100 people. Today, most of the forest out here has been cleared for farming, and there's only 1 sawmill left. I'd like to see the logging of the forest continue for the following reasons. The community needs timber, and logging will not destroy the forest if we plan carefully and replant the areas that are cut. Some parts of the forest have never ever been cut, and many of the trees are over mature. Many of the trees are already too old. In another 25 years, much of this timber will be useless for saw logs. Without logging, the mill will close and more than 30 people will become unemployed. Some forest areas grow best after they've been clear-felled or burned by bushfire. There are already plenty of areas set aside for recreational wildlife, and the community will always need timber.
We think that Leadbeater's forest needs to be protected from any more changes. In nearly 200 years, more than half of the forest in this region has been cleared. The area contains the only true example of the forest that was here before white people came to Australia. As you are planning its future, I would like you to think about these points. Many native birds and animals have gone from the area already because their habitat has been destroyed. Introduced animals and land development are forcing native animals out of the forest. Some areas have pockets of forest, unlike any others in this part of the country. They have never been logged. Putting in roads and walking tracks might help more people get to special places, but it will also mean that these places will change and animals will be crowded out of their habitats. Some areas need to be protected from people altogether if such areas and the life they support are going to survive.
Farming, and there's only one sawmill left. I'd like to see the logging of the forest continue for the following reasons. The community needs timber, and logging will not destroy the forest if we plan carefully and replant the areas that are cut. Some parts of the forest have never ever been cut, and many of the trees are over mature. Many of the trees are already too old. In another 25 years, much of this timber will be useless for saw logs. Without logging, the mill will close and more than 30 people will become unemployed. Some forest areas grow best after they've been clear-felled or burned by bushfire. There are already plenty of areas set aside for recreational wildlife, and the community will always need timber.
We think that Leadbeater's forest needs to be protected from any more changes. In nearly 200 years, more than half of the forest in this region has been cleared. The area contains the only true example of the forest that was here before white people came to Australia. As you are planning its future, I would like you to think about